Welcome to the Festo Tech Talk 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us. This year, it's all about ecological innovations. And maybe the example and the video already looks familiar to you because it was all over the press last year, the world premiere of the Festo bioreactor. And the great thing about it is that it can bind CO2 with the help of algae. Interesting thing here, a lot more than other plants. And at the same time, it creates a new recyclable raw material. And all this with the help of Festo technology. And ladies and gentlemen, by the way, the reactor looks quite different today because Festo continuously developed it during the year further on, and naturally, you may have a look at it later on. But I think it's just quite a great example how far Festo is thinking when it comes to ecological innovations. And before we just start now right in the first conversation here, we want to bring out an invitation for you. So please pick up your mobile phone now and fill in the following link, www.voxer.com/ch. We will give you a couple of moments here. Why is it a great idea to do so? Because from time to time, we will make a little anonymous survey with you. And maybe the result is interesting for each and every one of you. And also in the press conference, if you're joining us as a journalist here, you can bring all your questions live to us in the studio with this tool. So quite simple, www.voxer.com/ch. And when you are ready, let's go straight into the first topic here. And first of all, we want to clarify, what does ecological innovations mean? What does it mean exactly? And so who better to ask than the head of corporate communication and sustainability at Festo? A very warm welcome to Christian Österle. Hello, Christian.
Hello, Carmen. Hello to all the viewers. I'm very glad to have you all here today.
Christian, I know it was really on the top of your personal agenda to put this topic at this year's Festo Tech Talk. So let me ask you why.
Yeah, so the topic of ecological innovations really is one of the central aspects within our sustainability initiatives at Festo. And we think that economic, ecologic, and social aspects need to be considered together to really reach long-term and sustainable growth. So our belief really is there is no growth without a protection of nature. But not just we at Festo have realized this. Also in just a few days, the Hannover Messe will start. And also there in Hannover, it's all about ecological innovation. So the topic is making the difference, and we will see solutions for a connected and environmental friendly industry.
Hannover Messe, always a highlight for me. And by the way, if you haven't it in your calendar, the start date is April the 17th.
Yes, so also we are very much looking forward to the Hannover Messe. But not just there, also here today, it's all about ecological innovation.
Okay, let's clarify this huge keyword here. What does it mean for you? What does it mean for Festo?
The topic of sustainability becomes more and more important for Festo as well. And it really is an integral part of our corporate strategy. And we see ourselves responsibility really over the entire value chain of our products and services. And we are putting a focus on a topic of environment and climate protection. And within this area, especially on the reduction of CO2. So also our focus within our innovation activities is the topic of CO2 reduction. And the basis for our sustainability strategy is our model, the so-called Festo Blue World.
So let's have a look at your model.
So if we look at the blue world, we actually started with the overall challenges, and here we need to look at the two poles of that planet. So on the North Pole, we see the challenge of a rising population and as well as a demographic change. Whereas on the other side, on the South Pole, we see another challenge, which is the climate change and also resource conflicts. So in a second step, we really thought about what technologies we have today, but also in future, in order to contribute towards those challenges. So we asked the question where automation technology can be an enabler for more sustainability. And here at the end, we came up with 7 fields, 7 focus fields where we could take action, starting on the upper half of the planet. And here we see, for example, the topic of making work easier, for example, through human-machine collaboration. But we also see the topic of improving health, where we can contribute with our products and services from our BU LifeTech at Festo. And last but not least, the topic of education has always been very important for Festo. So here we see the topic of lifelong learning, and we have a great offer, a great learning offer for the technical education here as well with our Festo Didactic. On the other side of the blue world, we see different areas as well. So, for example, the industrial transformation and the structural change. And I think here the topic of battery production within e-mobility is a great example where our technology can be used in order to be more efficient, more sustainable as well. We have a great offer, technology overarching, electrical and pneumatic solutions. And I think this also helps the customers to improve their resilience in their value chain. And at the end, we have a global presence. So Festo is basically everywhere. So we can quickly adapt to the customer needs all around the world. And last but not least, we see the topic of ecological innovations. And this is what we are focusing on today.
I mean, when I listen to you, Christian, so many topics. I think you really hit the nail with all the big issues we're actually facing here. But this is a theory, let's be honest. So I asked myself, how do you bring this really huge idea and headline of the blue world into your daily work, your daily practice at Festo?
Yeah, so I think today we will hear a lot of great examples, going directly to your question. But in general, I think we have to differentiate between the product view and the market view. So looking at the products, we're asking ourselves, how can we make the product itself more sustainable? And this can be achieved, for example, through applying lightweight design. So we reduce the weight of the product. On the other side, when we look to the markets, technologies, applications that are emerging, we always ask the question, where can also our existing products and solutions contribute and help those industries? And I think here the topic of the bioreactor is a great example.
Okay, I say thank you very much for opening this topic for us. And I think we are going further on to have a look how to implement all this into the praxis. See you.
Thank you, Carmen.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, as we know, naturally many customers also watching us, and there's one topic on the agenda of every company, I would say right on the top. It's simply the question, how can we save energy? And in the next slot, we want to show you some products and technology and services from Festo, which can help you to do exactly this. 2 experts are waiting here for me. Let me introduce them to you. The first is the responsible for CO2 reduction, energy efficiency and products. A very warm welcome to Julia Bikidis.
Hello, thank you.
Hello, Julia. And a second speaker, I normally would have welcomed now Markus Stemmler. Many of you may already know him from the previous Tech Talks, but unfortunately he got ill, so all the best for you there. But we find someone with an excellent knowledge here because it's his boss and he will take over now the part in the slot. Thank you very much for doing this. Welcome the head of Product Line Control Pneumatics, Stefan Stolz. Hello, Stefan. Thank you.
Hello, it's a pleasure.
Both of you, what have you brought us today?
We brought our blue path, the way we want to work together with our customers to be more efficient and at the end reach net zero. And this path is more or less based on 4 pillars. The first one is the engineering phase at customer side, the key leverage for an efficient system at the end. Our products and solutions, our services, which also support already existing machines and systems to be more efficient, and technical education, which we see as an enabler for further ecological innovations. And for today, for the TechTalk, we will focus on the first two steps, the engineering phase and our products and solutions.
Okay, sounds great. Let's imagine now I'm an engineer, okay? And I want to build a brand new machine. What would be your recommendation here? How can I proceed?
Yes, already mentioned, this is now the engineering phase of our customer. And now we need to answer two leading questions. Let's answer them now together.
Okay, great.
In your application, Carmen, you need to answer with which technology you want to realize the automation task. Is the most efficient solution the pneumatic or the electric, or do I reach the optimum with controlled pneumatics? And this answer you can just give on the total cost of ownership, looking onto the initial costs as well as on the operating costs, and in addition on the CO2 emission, the backpack of the solution and the CO2 emissions due to the operation of this. And then you can make your decision for the technology for your specific application.
Yeah.
And we are also supporting this with an engineering tool, the so-called TCO and CO2 guide, which gives you transparency for your application. So question number one is answered. Which technology?
Yeah.
Now we need to look on the second question. Which product and in which size do I realize now my automation task? And therefore, we need to stay on the focus of the application. I just prepared yesterday our second engineering tool, the so-called pneumatic sizing tool, where you directly can give yourself the answer. You now have to describe the application with simple parameters like, for example, with which stroke and force you need to do the automation task. And then you get some proposals with different focuses like performance or saving energy. And then you directly see the product and also the impact of the size. When you see that just between one size and the other size, there's 35 or 50 or 40% energy saving potential. So you need to find the right product in the right size to have a efficient solution at the end.
Okay, so as a customer, I get support from the software side. What can you offer me on the hardware side?
With software support on our homepage, you also find a sustainable product basket. And I just brought two examples today with me. One of them is our vacuum generator, the OVEM. And with an air saving circuit, it's a quite simple principle. It just needs air as soon as it's necessary, and if not, it's shut down. You save up to 90%, depending on application, a huge amount of energy at the end. And the same principle is scaled to the whole system with the energy efficiency model, our C2M. Next to many other energy efficiency functions, it's just shutting down, for example, in a standby mode, which is automatically detected, and then you don't need air. It's shut down, and you save up to 70% in the application for the whole system. So a huge potential for saving energy. And this was just when we look on two components. We need to look into the application and then to the whole chain. And why the chain is very important, Stefan will explain when it comes to control pneumatics.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Julia. Let me add some additional benefit of these products. For example, the C2M as well as the VTEM, they are able to be retrofitted. And I think that's a huge advantage. But yeah, I will show later on some more details.
Okay, so quite a promise. I mean, if I want to buy a whole new machine, that's quite expensive. I mean, we all know this, yeah? But if you give me now the possibility simply to upgrade my existing system, that sounds amazing for me. That sounds really attractive for me. And naturally, it's sustainable in both senses, huh? Stefan, what would you say?
Yeah, exactly. So Julia just mentioned it. If we talk about energy saving in automation, it's not only the focus on one product, it's the focus on the whole system and the services used around. And that's what I would like to show today with an example out of the automotive industry. So for this application, we implemented several measures. starting in the engineering phase by using the pneumatic sizing tool for the right choice of size. In the next step, then choose products with intelligent function, like the power shut-off function. And finally, when the machine is set up, to actually detect leakage and minimize it. And using these measures, we were able to achieve quite amazing results.
Ladies and gentlemen, now it's your turn. Please pick up your mobile phone. It's time for a survey, and we're interested in your opinion, so please onboard yourself. We want to know from you, what do you think regarding to the example we heard now? What percentage of energy savings can be achieved? What percentage of energy savings can be achieved? We are curious about your answer, and Stefan, may I invite you to join me on stage?
For sure.
I have no idea what our audience will bet here, but anything else to using the time which you would like to share with us?
Maybe you made a guess in advance. Do you think it's too early to share it with the audience?
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, doing the rehearsal yesterday. Okay, okay. The number I put my bet on was, it was just the middle pass, like 28%. I wanted to be quite modest here, but I have no idea what is the bet of the audience here.
Yeah, just that I see. I think here we get the results. And, okay, it changed a little. But to give the right answer, we were able to achieve 53%. So sorry, Carmen, just a little bit away from your tip. But you can see 53%. It's really amazing result. And if you think about that, we just use quite easy measures to realize it. So I think that's a word.
Okay, let's go back to Julia. And let's continue to talk about energy savings. We are now talking about technology, but there's one technology which can even top the examples we heard about. It's controlled pneumatics. Stefan.
Okay, before I'm talking about controlled pneumatics, I would like to go one step back to the conventional pneumatics. If we think about conventional pneumatics, it's more or less a mechanical technology. And it has quite huge advantages, like it's very easy to use. But as soon as we come to the commissioning of an application, still the human input is quite huge. And that's actually, it limits the flexibility of the whole system. And that's when we come to controlled pneumatics. I would say controlled pneumatics, it's our way for the digitalization of pneumatics. And how do we realize that? We realize it by using state-of-the-art sensors, fast communication technology, proportional valves, and combine it together with intelligent control algorithms. This creates us maximum flexibility and efficiency in the systems. And actually the question could be, how do we do it? Today, I would like to show you one part. It's this piezo valve, and this makes a big difference in our applications. Why? Actually, you can see the piezo valve on the one hand. Actually, you can control the flow very precise, but on the other hand, its behavior. Its behavior is similar to an electrical capacitor, which means you only need to give in energy at the very beginning, which causes deformation, and then you can say, the piezo valve is charged, so it will keep its position, and later on, when you discharge it will go back to its initial state. And that causes a lot of advantages. For example, there isn't any heat emission, so there is no negative impact on the application of the customer. But on the other hand, you have the possibility to create a very, very high packaging density in the system.
And this is, let's be clear here, ecological innovation in its purest form. That means innovation that make it possible that technology is even more energy efficient here.
Yeah, exactly. We are more precise in the controlling and more efficient. And if you think about the VTEM, which I showed before, we can save energy up to 70% and more. And that's amazing.
and tomorrow. When you are back at your workplace, what kind of ecological innovations are you continue working with your colleagues there?
Yeah, at the moment, together with our research department, we are working on a new software function for our VTEM, which shows a combination on the one hand to save energy, but on the other hand, even to increase the dynamics of the whole system. And yeah, we are doing that by only giving the amount of energy to the system which is required. If you think about the stroke of the cylinder. To simplify it, we are thinking in the model to divide the stroke of a pneumatic cylinder into 3 phases. In the first phase, it's to overcome the static friction. In the second phase, it's to increase the dynamic, which means to speed up the system against the then much smaller friction. And then finally, in the third phase, it's again to stop the cylinder in the end position, and therefore it's very important to have less vibrations in the system, so you can say we have a very smooth braking in the end position.
Julia, I'm interested in your opinion. What is your forecast when we talk about the future of ecological innovations?
Ecological innovation goes hand in hand with the optimum of efficiency. And we just learned we can reach a lot of more efficiency when we work with sensors, with software, and add some artificial intelligence to a system to reach the optimum in the application. So we need to work with the data and add further steps like artificial intelligence and make the best out of the application. And this is what we already do, for example, with our Festo automation experience, the so-called Festo AX, where we take the data out of the shop floor, add AI and machine learning, and answer challenges like, when is the perfect time for predictive maintenance? Or how can I avoid cost-intensive energy peaks? This is just based finding the right or the most efficient solution for the application, working with the data software, and this is for me the basis for further ecological innovations.
Julia, Stefan, until now we talked a lot about energy savings, but ecological innovation, it means so much more. Let's bring it on the table here.
Okay, exactly. I would like to give an example out of a global growing industry segment, the semiconductor business. If you think about our today's life, you can find chips in several products which are which you know out of the daily use, like the smartphone, your car, or the washing machine at home. And what is the basic part behind? We are talking here about wafers. Wafers are based on silicium, and they are very expensive. That's actually the main reason also you need to protect them during the manufacturing and storage. How is that done? It's done by creating an atmosphere with inert gases. And Festo created a product, we call it the VEAD. And with this VEAD, we optimized the efficiency of flow control for nitrogen in these processes. And if you think about in a factory, it's called fab. There are, I would say, flying around several millions of wafers through the factory, which are then, let's say, protected by more efficient flow control. And it might seem there is only a small saving for one wafer, but in total, we will just see right now, it's really a massive saving.
Dear audience, now we are interested again in your opinion. What are you guessing? How many liters of nitrogen does a customer save in his factory per minute? Just pick up your mobile phone, www.voxa.com/ch, and we want to know from you how many liters of nitrogen does a customer save in his factory per minute? Stefan, are you ready to join me on stage again?
Of course.
Okay. So, and before the result is popping up here, anything else? What you have learned recently, what you want to share with us?
Actually, I would like to come back to the semiconductor industry. If you think about this industry is growing massively since the 90s, and thinking in the future, due to mega trends, it's even expected to double the turnover within the next 10 years. And I just can see the results are coming in. Okay, let's wait for some more seconds. Okay, then I will give the result. It's 40,000 liters per minute. This would be the right result. And if you think about 40,000 liter per minute nitrogen, to have a picture in mind, that's the quantity of a full truck of nitrogen. So thinking about in an hour, it would mean 60 trucks of nitrogen, actually, which we're saving, which we save with our controlled pneumatics. It's a metaphorical picture. Why metaphorical? The nitrogen is produced in the factory itself, but still, it's a huge amount of nitrogen which can be saved here.
I mean, this is where the topic of energy saving really gets vivid here. Imagine an 8-hour shift.
Yeah, so we can save massive resources by using controlled pneumatics.
Stefan, I say thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Naturally, also a big thank you to Julia, and see you later on at the press conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the blue world. Do you remember the 2 poles here? So at the South Pole, the big challenge is to save resources. And at the North Pole, it's all about feeding the world's growing population. And there's one sector which brings all this together, the agricultural industry. And now I'm really happy to meet an expert here with a very special background and say hello to Christine von der Ohe. Hello,
Hi,
Christine.
Carmen. Good to see you.
I'm looking forward to the exchange with you, because as I know, you have a special family background which made you so passionate about the topic.
Absolutely, yeah. I grew up in agriculture, and my brother is running our family farm today. And lucky for me, he's very into technology as well, so we can discuss ideas and applications, and on a very practical level.
Let's be honest here, the agricultural sector until now, it's not the biggest playing field of Festo, yeah? But it's a small growing plant, we have to admit, to stay in the context here. Why is the decision there from Festo's side to go this path?
Yeah, Christian already mentioned before that we can support with our experience and our existing product portfolio green or sustainable industries. And we have such an industry here, par excellence, I'd say. So this industry is changing very much, so the technology in this industry is changing. There are challenges, but technology is pushing into it as well with automation and digitalization. So this makes it very interesting for us.
Challenges? What kind of challenges do you see there?
Yeah, of course, climate change, as for agriculture, it's a very important challenge. And this means that we have less arable land, so land we can use for agriculture, and we have more people, of course. Then we have other crises which kind of interrupts the global trade. So best example is wheat from Ukraine. We cannot trade as easily as possible. And this brings countries to think about their own domestic food production. And then, of course, we have biodiversity, soil degradation, we have water scarcity, and we have a big labor issue as well. It's a very tough physical work, and there are not many people who can or want to do that anymore. So we see potential here, especially in fruit and vegetable production for the harvest and the care of our plants. And one interesting trend as well is local for local. It says that people don't want their food to be transported for 2 weeks over the streets, but produced locally and harvested fresh.
Yeah, I think all of us have this pictures in mind of the classical agricultural industry, you know, with apple trees and cows and little cats and so on. It's such a nice picture, but on the other hand, it's really a tough and hard work. I mean, you may know what I'm talking about.
And it's changing.
It's changing. The industry is changing. Tell us more about it.
There are on lots of elements it's changing, but I would like to pick two to explain it better. It's in one outdoor example and one indoor example.
Sure, go ahead.
So outdoor, we talk about precision farming. So as a society, we are able to collect and process huge amount of data now. And we can kind of conduct knowledge out of this. And to this knowledge, we can answer with automation. And on the other hand, if we look into the indoor industry, we call this controlled environmental agriculture. And vertical farming is an element of this. Vertical or controlled environment means, of course, we want to control it as much as we can. And we can even adapt the architecture of the building in regard to automation.
Imagine I'm stepping in the shoes of your family business, yeah? If I were a farmer and I had a big field, what advice would you give me to make my work more sustainable through automation?
Yeah. Precision farming, as I started to explain, it means that we really know for each square meter how's the soil, how's the plant, we have satellite data, we have weather data. So if we are, for example, talking about weed control, we could either use a spot spray, as we really know where a weed is, so we can apply a herbicide on the spot, or we can do it as our customer Österle is doing it.
Okay, and that's the point where we bring in a question to our audience. Okay, we want to know from you, dear ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? How can the customer reduce the use of plant protection products thanks to automation technology? We will give you a couple of seconds here, and may I invite you?
Yes.
So, until,
No, let's see what the audience is guessing.
Okay. Any other advice you can give us from your researchers and family background here?
I can maybe explain more about the wheat, because there's one example, as I said, there's one possibility to use a herbicide, but we have, especially in Europe, conventional and organic farming. And for example, at home we have an organic farm, so we are not allowed to use the chemical weed control. So in the row we can use a machine, but between the crops we have to do it by hand. And this is why this project of Österle is very helpful for an organic farmer.
Okay, this is a bet of our audience. What would you say here? Thank you very much for taking part.
So let's. We have a bet. How do you say that? It's equal. Let's. I don't want to explain
They're
it.
quite diplomatic, this audience today.
Okay. I don't want to explain it. I brought a video where we can see the answer.
Great.
Yes, this is the autonomous weeding machine. Is it running? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is an autonomous weeding machine constructed by our Dutch customer Österle, and it actually scans the field and differentiates the crop from the weed by camera vision and AI. And then our motors and controllers move a delta with the front end to the weed. And here's the solution.
Yeah.
As you see here, wonderful. With an electrical impulse, the weed is destroyed.
What is the most different aspect in a project like this?
I say difficult is that a couple of years ago, I would say we wouldn't have been able to solve that problem because the computer vision and the artificial intelligence to differentiate the crop and the weed wasn't that far, and it's really running up at the moment. So we will be in the future we will be able to detect more of that.
Christine, let's sit down again.
Yes, thanks.
Because I want to bring up my initial question. I mean, it's such an important question here. How can I be, as a farmer, how can I be more sustainable in my work?
For Festo, of course, there's manual work very interesting. So I mentioned this topic of labor shortage, that it's a very physical work. And we are, as an automation company, interested in manual processes where we can support the worker. So fruit and vegetable production, name whatever you want to. In the supermarket, every fruit is picked by hand and cared by hand. So yeah, we can support with our bread and butter business here, gripping and motion.
Okay, so I remember back, I've had a vegetable garden, yeah, for 2 years. So I tried to plant some tomatoes and
It's not an easy business.
no, it's not easy because even the smallest beet makes so much work. It's so hard to take care on a daily basis. So let's talk about maybe vertical farming here.
Yeah, vertical farming is a development of greenhouse farming or greenhouse technology, basically. And it's very close to a high bay warehouse. And this makes it perfectly clear why an automation company would be interested in it. So the plants are moving around in the facility, and you don't have to move the machine to the plant as on open field. So we have interesting palletizing applications, pick and place, or simple pusher cylinders. And as well, there's a high need for technical education because like on the combination of plant science and high tech. So our didactic department is there as well, and yeah, very helpful.
This sounds like an interesting concept for me for the future, but we all know theory and practice, there is a difference. So real question is, where is it already being done, actually?
Yeah, last week I visited a company in Switzerland. They are growing vertical kitchen crops, and I'd say supplying half of Swiss supermarkets with it already. Because the interesting thing about this technology is it uses far less water than open field. It uses far less fertilizer, no pesticide if you don't want to. And good and bad, it uses a lot of electricity because the plants grow under LED light, and this is of course high energy consumption. But it's as well the clue about this technology because you can modulate the wavelength and then you can create the perfect condition for the plant all day long. And I really believe there's much more to come what we haven't understood yet with this technology. So if you ask me where this technology will kind of establish itself, I would say first in countries where we have lots of renewable energy available, and where we have a little space, like Singapore, where we have not so much sun, like in the Scandinavian countries, and where we have little water, like in the desert.
What about our friendly neighbors, the Netherlands? Are they also here in the forefront?
Absolutely. Well, our Dutch colleagues and the whole Netherlands have very good experience in greenhouse technology, and this is why I brought a video from our Dutch customer Viscon. They are deep into, or they are building the machinery for greenhouse technology and vertical farming as well. So it's just to understand where the automation and the motion is in this area. So here we see pot handling and filling the pots with soil, and then hopefully you can see here my favorite application. It's a transplanter. So you move the plants from one pot to the other. A beautiful pick and place application.
Yeah, and it makes perfectly sense what Christian told us about the blue world before. The world's population has to be fitted. Yeah, so we need solutions here. So thank you very much for sharing solutions like this with us. Thank you very much,
You're
Christine.
welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, and in a moment, we will present to you the long-awaited BionicCellFactory. But before we do this, let's have a look again at the blue world with Christian. Hey, welcome back on stage.
Hey, Carmen.
You know, when we talk about the bioreactor, we also talk about biotechnology. How does it come?
So at the beginning, we used the Festo Blue World to talk about the current challenges that we are facing. Rising population on the one side, limited resources on the other side. A more disruptive change, actually, we would see in a shift from a linear economy towards a circular economy. And where could we learn more from circles than from nature? especially in biological processes, we can really see the principles of a circular economy. And since many years within our bionic learning network, we are actually evaluating how nature works, yeah, and we look at the principles of nature and we try to transfer those principles to the industrial environment as well. And here we thought whether we are also able to really use our automation technology to first understand the highly complex biological processes, and in a second step even steer and automate those processes using our technology. And here the circle actually closes to our BionicCellFactory. Last year we already showed the very first example of a bioreactor, but this year we go even one step further.
Thank you very much. So let's see what's new here. And this year, thank you, and see you in a moment for the press conference.
Thank you, Carmen.
Yeah, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a flying change here on stage, as we would say. I would like to welcome the head of corporate research and innovation. Welcome, Elias Knubben.
Hello, Carmen. Nice to meet you again.
Hello. I still have the phrase in my ear from last year. It was like, algae are little climate savers. As I know, you continue to working on that topic with your team. So maybe there's a chance to say also algae can be big climate savers?
Yes, I would say you can. I would say you can say so. The biological transformation and the algae itself has the potential to really contribute quite a lot, and we really worked hard on that. But before I go a bit more into detail, I would like to explain the principle again. So we use CO2 and light and the photosynthesis and cultivate algae in order to produce biomass. And we do this with automation technology in an industrial scale, because algae is able to bind 10 times more CO2 in compared to land plants.
I mean, that's a sentence. It's worth repeating. Algae can store 10 times more CO2 than normal plants.
Right.
Okay, that makes them quite attractive plants, I would say. And this is without doing anything special with them. So let's bring up a question here to our audience. We want to know from you how much CO2 than a common land plant can an algae store with the help of automation technology. Here in the new twist, it's about the automation technology. We are really interested about your answer. Let me ask you, Elias, your technology can now help to artificially optimize the process, isn't it?
Exactly. So what we do actually in the bioreactor, we control all the parameters that are relevant for a very efficient growth of the algae. So like pH level, CO2 saturation, temperature, airflow, and also we have some ingredients that we feed to the algae. And this is actually what we can achieve with automation technology, using sensor devices, using valves, using control devices. So all this stuff allows to achieve the perfect environment for a perfect growth.
And here it is, the results.
And here it is, okay.
What do you say?
And we see the audience is right.
Yeah.
In compared to land plants, an algae in a bioreactor that is working 24 hours a day, 365 days a year under perfect conditions, we can bind 100 times more CO2 in compared to land plants.
Can we take a look at them?
Yes, we can, but the machine is actually quite big. We call it BionicCellFactory, and I was not able to bring it here into the studio, but my colleagues in our HQ, they still working on that, and we asked them if we can switch live to them in the laboratory.
And I say hello to Sebastian Schroff in Essling.
Hello to the studio. Yeah, this is the first time we assembled our latest project. On the last fair, we showed a small bioreactor, and now we transformed it into a 7 meters long bionic cell factory that is completely transparent.
So the Hannover Messe is just a finger snip away and you look quite happy. So you bring good news here.
Yeah, we've been working on this BionicCellFactory for almost 1 year now. And we did a lot of concepts, a lot of constructions, and now it's the first time it's physically set up. And now we can do some bug fixing and check if it works and do some coding. Because in a few weeks, on the Hannover Fair, it should all run properly.
It seems to be quite busy there in the background, and I think there's a lot of work again to do. But I also think you're on the right path, so good luck to you for all your further on steps. It's all about
thank you.
Wi-Fi.
See you in Hannover.
Okay. Thank you, Sebastian.
He can't be
Okay.
live with us in the studio here because, I mean, this is really a huge system,
machine.
as we can see. And let's talk about this. I mean, it's 7 meters long. How does it function? And can you onboard us to the topic a little bit here?
Yeah, sure. So actually we show the complete process from the very beginning where we collect the CO2 until the very end where we refine the final algae product, the algae oil. And as you see in the system, it's made out from 5 modules. And we start with module 5, module 1, sorry. In this module, we show the CO2 collection process. So there's a chamber, and in this chamber, there is a powder, and this powder is able to bind the CO2 molecules from the atmosphere. So we blow a lot of air around the powder through the chamber, and after about 45 minutes, we heat the chamber up to 90 degrees, and we use vacuum to suck off the highly concentrated CO2. And this CO2 with an amount of 4% concentration, we directly can feed into the bioreactor. So this was module number 1. And then we have module number 2. This is a very important module because we need to measure and to understand the growing process of the algae. So we call it analysis module. And here we use 2 technologies. On the one hand, we use a microscope and a microfluidic chip where we pump the algae fluid through. And then we use image recognition and artificial intelligence to count the cells and to see when they are dividing. And also we see if we have some pollution, for example. And on the other hand, we have a quantum sensor element that uses laser light and can measure on a molecular basis also the quality actually of the bioprocess. So in having this knowledge in place, we can optimize the growing of the algae in the bioreactor. Module number 2.
Next model is model number 3. Let's have a look at it.
Exactly.
Because, here we can see it's green. So what happens in this green sector here?
You can say this is the heart of the machine actually. So here there's a tubing system, and here the algae fluid actually is pumped through. And in this basin, actually in this tubing system, the algae grows. And our job in this case is really to take care for the perfect conditions. So as I mentioned, temperature, CO2 saturation, all these parameters are perfectly controlled. And this tubing system we buy from Algoliner is a scalable system actually. You can scale it up to 10,000, or if you use many modules, even to 100,000 liters. And this is important in the end, that you really can achieve quite a big amount of biomass.
This was model number 3.
3, exactly.
So we are stepping to model number 4 now.
Exactly.
Okay, after the algae has grown, what happens next?
Okay, when we figure out that the right point has come to harvest, then we pump it to the next module, and there's a centrifuge which rotates with about 10,000 rounds per minute. And this allows us to separate the water from the biomass. And the water, we can pump it back to the bioreactor. It's a closed system, so that means that we really need less water which is also very interesting and important for the future. And on the other hand, we get a really highly concentrated algae paste, actually. And this can be then, in the next module, be processed again. And we call it enzymatic transformation, because here we have 5 more bioreactors, where we also have specific conditions like 40 degrees Celsius and a pH of 5. And there we add very specific enzymes. And these enzymes actually, they open the cells and they allow us to harvest the ingredients, so like the proteins and the color pigments and so on. And in these bioreactors, the separation of these several ingredients happens. And at the end, we get an algae oil and we get glycerol.
You mentioned you can do all kind of things out of this raw material. Is algae oil the new oil?
I would say you can say so.
Wow.
It depends a bit on the microorganism that we really cultivate. So with each algae you can achieve something else, but you can get ingredients like astaxanthin, which you can use in the food industry, or you can get biopolymers, which you can use for bioplastics. Or you can use it for cosmetics and pharmaceuticals, even for food. So many ingredients can be get out of this process. And in compared to crude oil, we don't set CO2 free, which was bound millions of years ago by photosynthesis. We do the photosynthesis right now in the process and fixate it actually in the final product.
You know, Elias, when I'm listening to you, I imagine actually there's someone sitting in front of the screen thinking like, amazing, I want to buy this bioreactor. Yeah, great solution. But first of all, we have to define your role in the whole game here.
Yeah, actually, it's important that many of those bioreactors will be at the market, but we work closely together with cooperation partners. So our part as Festo is doing the automation part. Yeah, as I mentioned, you need to control all the parameters, and therefore our automation equipment, the valves, the mass flow controllers, the motors, everything actually that is needed in this environment can be delivered by Festo. Also the know-how, but the bioreactors itself actually, they are produced and set up from other companies like Algoliner, as I mentioned.
I say thank you very much. See you in a couple of moments over there in the press conference. Thank you, Elias.
Thanks to you.
Yeah, now the time has come. The official opening of the press conference. It will start over there just in a couple of seconds. And we say thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us today. All journalists we invite to stay just with us now, here on screen. And to all other participants, we say thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you very much for your interest. And naturally, we would be more than happy if we could share some motivating and positive thoughts with you. For me, it would be something like, for example, Ecological Innovations. Good that they are there. They really can play a part to actively make it better, the situation we have, to actively face all the challenges we have out there. So great solutions, and we say happy to meet you at the Hannover Messe in hall number 7 from April the 17th to the 21st. Hope to see you there, and thank you very much. And now I go over to meet you again. Great to see you all.
Hi.
And I remember it was a very vivid press conference last year. So we have set a benchmark for today, and I hope we will have a great talk again today too. And first of all, this is our communication tool here in the studio. You can bring all your questions just with the tool we used before. Just bring all your questions here directly on the tablet, and we will debate it here in the round. Until we wait for rushing in the first questions here, what can we expect from the Festo booth at the Hannover Fair 2023? Give us a short a glimpse of the future there?
I think, to be very honest, we can really expect a lot from Hannover again. So last year we have introduced the new booth, and that booth will be with us this year again as well. So we are in Hannover with over 1,600 square meters, yeah, which
Wow.
is fully packed. You will see products and solutions on the area of making work easier, improving health. You will see topics regards to lifelong learning, industrial transformation, and of course ecological innovations as well. So there's really a lot to see this year. We will be in Hannover with around about 150 experts from our team. So we are ready for all of you.
Great. Thank you very much. And as I see, we received the first question here right in time. How does your roadmap regarding sustainable products look like, and what can we expect?
Yeah, I think I would like to answer
Julia.
this question directly. I think we have to divide this question into two areas. One of them is the general approach and within our product development to reduce the CO2 emissions of our products. As Christian mentioned in the opening, material saving product design, for example, and this is something, of course, which we will find for the next or in the next generations of our products as a development principle, so to say, as a general approach to reduce within our product development. And on the other hand, we will have specific products with further energy efficiency functions. Like, for example, we learned with Stefan that we are developing a software which will define the optimized or the best pressure for the application. And this is, of course, part of our product roadmap and is the basis for further innovations within this roadmap.
Thank you, Julia. Next question is, you refer to circular economy. How will Festo contribute to this in a concrete way?
I think I will take over that question. So,
Please, with pleasure.
we talked a lot about circular economy, and I think we also need to differentiate a little here between, I would say, three aspects. So, first, we need to look at the production side. Yeah. So here we are already trying within our production areas to really close circles. So what does that mean? For example, we are collecting the aluminium, that is left over in production. We are remelting it, and we are using it as a raw material in our products again. Today, we already use over 80% of secondary aluminium in our products, and this really contributes massively to the reduction of CO2 already, and is a very first piece of puzzle, in the area of circular economy. The second area is the product itself, I would say. So here we are offering repair service for all of our products. Second, we have spare parts, obviously also available to really enlarge the life cycles of our products. And last but not least, I think the third part would be the market, so to say, that we are enabling. So if there are areas, in matter of circular economy, this is also something where we are contributing. So, for example, the battery production. So here we are also taking part in the reassembly of the battery packs and offering the right product portfolio, copper, zinc, nickel free that you need in that area. And I think this is the three aspects that I need to mention in the area of circular economy.
Okay. Thank you. How relevant is sustainability in your product development process?
Yeah, I think I can answer also this question. It's directly part of it. It's part of our requirement list, so to say. We always look into the special requirements for the product application. How can we, in the application of our application landscape of our product, be as efficient as possible? And then, of course, as mentioned, we have this general approach to reduce with the right development principles, just as mentioned, the sustainable material-saving product design. How can we reduce CO2? So it's directly and a clear part of our development process.
Thank you, Julia. What can we get after generation of biomass of algae?
What can we get? You mean the material that we can get in
Don't
the
know how
end?
to interpret.
Okay, so actually, harvesting the algae, in the end we have this paste, and then there are several techniques actually to get out the ingredients. So in our case we get algae oil, which is omega-3 mainly proteins, and we get glycerol, which is a high density energy fluid actually that you could use for several things. And now it really pretty much depends on which algae you use. So in our case today we use chlorella, we also used Synecocystis and other microalgae. Depending on the algae you get specific ingredients. I mentioned astaxanthin for the food industry. There are many other products actually that you later on can use in the food industry for pharmaceuticals and so on. So we are right now in the very beginning, but it's important that this process is quite generic. So depending on what you grow, you can get different things out of it.
So thank you also to our audience for bringing up all these interesting questions here. And let's just pick up the next one here. Who owns the design ownership of algae project? Is it Festo or some other organization?
Design ownership.
Okay.
I don't know if you mean the IP or the ownership. How can I?
The question is really ownership on the project, on the BionicCellFactory.
So
I would understand it that way.
Okay,
Yeah.
this project is fully driven by Festo.
Yeah.
So it's our initiative. It's mainly our competence and our work stuff, but we cooperate with partners. In this case, we cooperated with Algeliner, where we got the bioreactor from. And yeah, we close in interaction also with the Max Planck Institute in Marburg, for example, or other scientists in this field to really understand the biological processes and to work on the efficiency.
Good. A question to Mr. Stolz. Stefan, mentioned after a new software before. When will this function be available?
Okay, I'm quite sure maybe we are talking about the efficient motion app, which we are programming at the moment. So at the moment we are in development phase. So within this year, the main target is to implement it together with pilot customers. So if there is any interest, feel free to contact us. Contact us to jump, let's say, on the train. Yeah, so we expect hopefully to have it done next year for a wider. Yeah, actually, for more customers, yeah.
Okay, great. What is finally done with the algae oil? Is it only omega-3 or anything else?
Yeah, I think I tried to answer this already. It very much depends on which algae you grow and how the refinement process works and what exactly you want to get out of it. And this pretty much depends on what is the economic most interesting result actually that you can get. Yeah, so in principle, you can get almost everything that we today get out from crude oil, but oil is still quite cheap, so it doesn't make really much sense to make biofuels. It is possible, but we don't think that this is very economic. But if you follow the trend that the vegan food, for example, really explodes, so therefore many ingredients like omega-3 fat, like specific color pigments are needed, and therefore you can get quite high prices. So this is probably the most attractive in the beginning. But again, I want to make sure, cosmetics as well, thanks. But our role is to automate the processes. Yeah? We don't drive the bioreactors, we don't sell the final products. This is not our business, but we wanted to show, in this case, all the processes, because this is part of the biological transformation. And we think that in the future we can play a major role in each of these steps.
Okay. What are concrete measures at Festo in order to achieve CO2 neutrality?
I think this is a question for myself. So
welcome.
I think here again we need to differentiate a little. So if we talk about the GHG protocol, which is known by the experts, we talk about different scopes, between scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. If we look at scope 1 and 2, we are already really doing a lot. So since 2023, so since this year, we are already CO2 neutral in our German buildings, as well as in the global production sites and logistics sites. And how we achieve this is by actually just using green electricity in our buildings. And on the other side, we are heavily investing, for example, in photovoltaic systems on our roofs. But also afterwards, we are not yet done. So there's still a lot of things that we need to do. We are further working on energy efficiency measures in our plants. We are changing to LED lightnings. So there's a lot of things that we are still doing. On the other side, if we look at scope 3, and we all know that the biggest impact is really when customers are using our products. And here really we see a high amount of CO2 emissions. And here we also work on different aspects. As we heard today, we are reducing the weight of the products, applying lightweight design. We try to optimize the transport modes of our products. And on the other side, and I think we heard great examples of this today, we are working on the functionalities of the products as well in order to use less energy during the use of the products.
Thank you. Last question is, what are the newest products regarding controlled pneumatics?
Okay, so I think I will take that one.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so already within the last years, we already developed several products. So before we have seen the VTEM, beside of that, we also have valves like our VAB already available with the focus on smaller flow rates, I would call it like that. And in the next step, actually, we will combine all our knowledge into new valve terminals, actually, with which will bring the functionality as well as for pressure control, flow control, and for motion. So also here, we think about efficiency, also to use as much as possible modules, which shows also actually, how to say, effective resource usage.
I say thank you very, very much to all of you for this great exchange. And ladies and gentlemen, in case you have any further on questions, just feel free to write us a mail at presse@festo.com. And naturally, we will bring answers to you. And it's also possible to arrange an interview with our experts here. Hope to see you at the Hannover Messe, and traditionally at the first day there is the official press conference at the Hannover Messe, and I think we will see you there.
Yeah, so I will be there as well, and I hope
Christian.
to see some of you participants in Hannover as well.
Okay, thank you very much and hope to see you soon.